All right, all right, all right. Hello, everyone. Um, we are streaming. We are here this Friday. It's happy hour time. Yeah, it depending on where you are. It's happy hour somewhere. But thank you for being here. Welcome to the Hood. I am the Hood Sommelier, and today I got a message of somebody saying, "Why are you not including everybody?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You say Scotch drinker only." I want to see more than Scotch drinkers. And I said, you know what? The better spirit is Scotch, but we don't talk about that. You can fight me later in a comment. But today, I wanted to bring on a brand that I actually inadvertently discovered. It's interesting as I go through spirits, as I go through the industry, and you meet interesting people. So if you're here, grab a dram, log in, like, share, send this to your favorite whiskey drinker, have them come here, ask questions, and say hello. Say hello. I would love to hear from you as we go through this, as we get to know this brand. So it's quite interesting because the Scotch drinker only, when I heard it, was like, okay, I like Scotch and I like drinking it. What else is here? I just didn't have any idea of this brand, but coming to find out, it's a movement. It's two enthusiasts that decided to change kind of the landscape of how American whiskey looks like. I cannot wait for you guys to learn more about them, know about them, and understand what they're doing for the spirit industry here in the US. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a couple. This is Scotch Drinkers Only, Melissa and Howard Sachs. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us on the webcast.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, this is where we put fire to, we put your foot to the fire. This is where we grill people. We try to know all the secret. And like I tell everybody, there's a reason why I say welcome to the hood because there's no rule in the hood where we just have a good time and just be ourselves. Like I said, for all of you guys that are here, if you're either watching on any of the platform, either is YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter, Facebook, if you still, somebody's grandfather, it's okay. We love we want you to watch. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up if the audio is good. If you hear us good, we'd love to hear from you. I'll be monitoring the comments, and we are here.
In order to understand,
I will. One thing I will do is I will probably share this. My assistant is not next to me today, so I'll have to share this with everyone so we can actually share in all the groups that want to learn more about whiskey. First question before even we start. Are you just in the US or are you also in any other country?
we're just importing into the US right now.
Okay, I
We're
have to make
focused on bringing the highest quality Scotch we can find into the US market. But Scotch is global, so maybe if people are watching this 10 years from now, that might be a different story.
absolutely, absolutely. So before even we get started, rude of me, please introduce yourself. Who are you guys?
So I am Melissa, and this is my business partner and also my husband, Howard. So we work together. We started our business about 2 years ago. We kind of decided we wanted to do something different. We were both in the corporate world for many years, probably about 20 years each, kind of doing the grind, working long hours for other people, living probably other people's dreams, but not our own. I'm actually an accountant by background. I'm a CPA. My husband worked in tax. I did financial statements, financial reporting, all worked with a lot of numbers, finance, budgets, things like that. Howard did the other end of things in tax. We've always been whiskey enthusiasts. We've traveled to Scotland many times. We've been to Kentucky many times. My sister and her family live in Kentucky. So big fans of not just Scotch, but everything whiskey across the realm. So let Howard jump in.
Yeah, I was actually in 2016. I was in a tax consulting project, and our client really liked London. So I spent a lot of time in London in the UK. And while over there, I discovered the concept of independent bottlers and more than just the core ranges of Scotch and what you could do as an independent bottler. And I went up for a long weekend while there to Scotland, and I visited some distilleries. And I came back to the US, and what I had experienced there with single cask and high proof whiskey just wasn't available in the US, especially where we were living at the time. We were living in Pennsylvania, which was a control state. And it was very slim pickings when you would go into a state-run store there and look at the shelves as far as independent bottlers go. And I loved all the different distilleries, a lot of stuff that would typically just go into a blend. We love blends too, but it's single malts are terrific, where it shows the distillery character. And we loved all the different types of cask finishes, and we'll talk a little bit about all the different cask finishes a little later. But it was just not easy to access in the US. And so it was something that was in the back of my mind for many years. And as the pandemic kind of ended in 2022, we were able to leave the house again. I left my corporate career. Melissa joined me about a year later. And we started this company with the goal of bringing all this great Scotch to the US and making it easy for the US market to access it at very, the most affordable prices. Because Melissa's a good CPA, and I do as well as I can with the taxes to keep things down from a double tax perspective. But we want to bring all this great stuff in and share it the best we can with the US market.
Children, you just heard them. Follow your dreams. That's all I heard in that whole statement is follow your dreams, because there's something to be said about following your dreams and almost being adamant about something that you really enjoy, turning your passion into reality is the American dream. As an immigrant, I always tell people, when people ask me, what's the American dream? I say, liking something, enjoying it, and turning it into your job. That's the American dream. So congratulations to y'all for being not only enthusiasts that decided, you know what, I want to bring people what I've enjoyed and I know is high quality of spirit. I often tell the story. I started in single malt before I went to anywhere else, but I did not start falling in love with single malt till I started tasting it straight from the cask. That's when the shift happened. So you have someone like me that obviously support what you do, because if you have been around single malt for a while, you know how important it is to taste the huge gap between tasting it from being picked by an independent bottler and you having it, blended or watered down if need be. So congratulations. Thank you for honoring me and coming on the show. You guys look like you've been doing this for a while. So, I mean, for just 2 years of actually being in the market and doing this, you are definitely doing great. If you have ever tried any of the Scotch only whiskeys, I want to hear in the comment. I want to know if you have tried it, because as we go through and taste and start asking questions, I want somebody else to witness this with me, because Howard always look unassuming, like he haven't done anything. So I want to make sure that I have somebody else that's telling me he's as incredible as I've read the review say. So there was some review. I went and did my research, and really great review of people actually talking about your whiskey. So now let's talk about, you liked it, you go to Scotland, you know that you want to bring this here. Now, how do you start? Where do you start?
So where I guess it, and we would say pivoted in terms of the original business plan that I wrote versus where we evolved to. And where I started, and this was a complete passion project. I looked for barrels of whiskey that were from distilleries that I thought were really good and may not be found in the US. And I started purchasing these casks of whiskey. We wanted to look for interesting ones in terms of the distilleries and the sources. And one of the people that we do business with said to me, we're starting a new label. It's just coming out. And that was Creetown. And they said, we have some bottlings. Do you want to bring these into the US? And they sent me a price list. So we didn't necessarily set out to be an importer. We set out to find good stuff and bottle it. And so that's been, we still have some cascaging, but how we started was finding good liquid. And then when we got in the business and we started to purchase it, we met people like the folks at Creetown. And I looked at what they were bottling and I said, these are incredible stuff. It's better than, honestly, I shouldn't say it on webcam. It was better than what I had purchased, because if you look at some of the age state, like this is an 18-year Aaron. Like
Correct.
I was, as accountants, we were too cheap to purchase like a cask of that. But we were perfectly fine taking a good allocation at the price that it was offered to bring in the 36 bottles we brought in the US. And so that was good. And then when we were over in Scotland last summer, we saw the Dràm Mòr label in the bar, the world famous bar, the Highlander in Speyside. And we said, we need some pours of this. And so we got some drams, and it was fantastic. And we got home and we contacted the owners, Vic and Kenny McDonald. And we said, hey, if you thought about importing, coming into the US, we can't get your bottles here. And they said, no, we don't have an importer. Correct. And 2 weeks later, we worked out a deal. We purchased, the bottles of whiskey, and we coordinated then to import it over. And so that was the process we went through.
You guys are the one who brought Dràm Mòr onto the US market.
Yeah, we were the first import, and we're the exclusive importers for the US for both for Dràm Mòr. And I don't believe anyone else is importing.
No, I believe that can be called your brand now.
Yeah.
But so you now have an agreement. You're bringing stuff on the market. Does what we are gonna start tasting that are in your portfolio right now as a quote unquote importer / independent bottler, is it a Melissa and Howard decision, or Melissa, Howard, and the original distillery decision as far as what we put in that bottle?
So what happens is typically every quarter, how it works with a lot of the independent bottlers over Scotland, a lot of them will do quarterly outturns where they'll put out probably between 6 and 8 cask bottlings that they've hand selected. So that means they're getting the cask samples every month or every couple of weeks and testing them to make sure they like it, and they're moving, the ABV is correct and things like that. And if it's not right, they're not bottling it unless they're confident that it's a good cask. And so we work with them. We get the list of what they're planning to bottle, and then we kind of do our research of what is available in the US and decide what to bring in. And we taste everything. We get samples from our partners, and we do a lot of research. Again, I think it's the type A accountant in us. We kind of look what's on the market in the US, the price points, because it's not going to do anyone any good if we bring in the same type of bottle just with a different label slapped on the front. So we want to bring things that are totally unique, that aren't seen here a lot, and hopefully things that people are eager to try and have not tried before.
Yeah, absolutely. So to take a step back too, for the independent, because some people may not be familiar with independent bottlers that watch this, what that means is that they're not affiliated with the distillery typically. They are a third party for the most part, and so they have the ability to select whiskey from any number of distilleries in Scotland as an independent bottler, and then they choose what to put in the cask. They pick the cask type, whether it's bourbon, whether it's sherry, whether it's a wine cask. They choose what proof to bottle at, whether it's at cask strength, what we prefer, whether they choose to proof it down a tiny bit. They choose all of that. They choose the labels. And it's something that's different because the distilleries, if you're making 10,000 bottles as a distillery, that you need a consistency. And so you need them to be consistent from batch to batch, from season to season. And so that's different than what the independent bottler is able to do. They're able to do something that's different and unique. And so each outturn, they send us a list to say, this is what's available, this is its price. And then as the importer, we're able to look through that, as Melissa said, and choose what we think will do best in the US market, based on the US market's palate, based on the availability. Because as Melissa said, we don't want to bring in things that are very similar to what's here, or aren't going to move the market at all in terms of price. And so we select what we think is good, and then we get to bring it in, and it's incredibly fun. So everything that we've sent you, everything on our website, everything from these brands in the US are bottles that we're passionate about, that we wanted to bring in and share with Scotch drinkers in the US.
Okay. Now I have a question, but before that question, I have to actually taste one of your choices. But that to actually taste, I always say the same thing. I do not know anything about Scotch drinkers only. I'm, I'm just an avid Scotch lover. Today is the first day I'm discovering your brand. What would you introduce me? What pour would you introduce me to your brand? What, what would that be?
So I think we should probably start with the Bal Blair, which, if people aren't familiar with Bal Blair, it is a Highland distillery. They're owned by Invergordon Distillers, and they're right outside of Tain. Most people hear Tain and they think of Glenmorangie, but also Bal Blair is up there. They're a really unique distillery. I actually love this dram. I think it has a lot of fruit notes. We'll start with this one because it's not peated. I think we'll move to the peated one later. This one is in a bourbon hogshead. So just not a lot of influence from, a sherry or a wine cask, just a really nice Scotch.
And this is under your CREE label.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would recommend.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, while you're pouring that one, I would recommend that you also pour the Aaron 18, because the Aaron does a bit of a party trick.
Correct.
In that it'll evolve in the glass. That one I think tremendously benefits from that time to breathe.
Correct.
And I don't want to lead you at all.
I'm gonna pour that on the side.
On your tasting notes, but
Correct.
it's pretty spectacular once it opens up.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this obviously, so one of the things I have to remind people is that independent bottlers are like artists. So you can see a name that you recognize on an independent bottler's bottle, but all that means is just that Scotland, unlike the US, have done a really good job when it comes to transparency. So there is not weird for someone to say, I have a brand as an independent bottler that is not that you've seen on a shelf before. So that's something educational wise, I have to tell the average consumer, like, no, it's not the same thing, but it is. So the way I tell people is, imagine your younger sister love designing clothes, but she's not a designer. She goes to Walmart and she buy a white t-shirt, and she comes home and she paint and design it the way she wants to, and now she's wearing it. You go to Walmart and also buy a white t-shirt and you wear it. Technically, both of y'all are wearing the same white t-shirt. The difference is she designed her a different way and brought her artistic flair to it. So that's for just, audience to just be aware. It's like, hey, we saying we got bulb brand, okay, but can I find that else on a shelf? Maybe. Can I find it with another independent bottler? Maybe. But this one is particular because at the end of the day, as we go through this interview, it is definitely not about the brand. It is about Melissa and Howard, their nose, their ability to see things, sense things, and realize that this is good spirit for an audience. Now, me as the enthusiast, I'm not an expert, I'm just an enthusiast. I get to put it to the test. This comes at 52.4% ABV. It's 10-year old and ex bourbon cask. So, I mean, from what I've learned, I was told, I'm not sure if this is true. I'm just being facetious, but the legs on these actually obviously come up nice, a little bit of oiliness in the spirit here. Nice floral nose and a little sweet honeycomb coming up. Yeah, I'm loving that kick that come from the ethanol, but also gives you a little bit of that black pepper ish scratch on the back of your nose there. Okay, all right, cilantro.
Angela.
Mm. Ooh, that cask definitely settles in. You get those nice spice caramel note that come from that bourbon casks for me have a tendency to either do well or just kind of cuddle the whiskey. They don't shine through the whiskey sometime. And here it definitely does, especially for just a 10-year-old whiskey.
Yeah.
You got those nice caramel note, kind of that punch of, yeah, a little bit of that umami-ish coming through. Caramel, definitely like caramel. And it's creamy too. It's not sharp at all. It is creamy. So definitely an expert beginner's pour.
Yeah, we get a lot of fruit on this also,
Yeah.
which is really nice
On
with
the
the
top,
blend.
the fruit definitely come on the nose.
Yeah,
I hate to use marzipan when it comes to taste notes, but there is that almondy kind of
there's
um,
definite almond.
Yep.
Yeah,
right, that almondy, um, what I like, almond marmalade with a little bit of that peach that comes there as well. But obviously, it's bright, a little bit of that citrus zest that pop in the back of your palate. But yeah, this is this is
yeah.
solid. That's the best way to put it. It's solid.
And it's super approachable too, even without water. Like we have a jar here of water, but I don't think this needs it. It just works right out of the bottle.
I always do, since it's 52% ABV. I always do just a little bit after I'm done drinking it to kind of rinse to see what that gives me at the end there. Oh, that citrus pops.
Yeah.
That
I also,
nice citrus, like almost like my mouth is salivating. It's like having something almost sour. That nice citrus brightness of the whiskey comes through. So if you even add a dash or two of water, it does open up more of those brighter notes. So I like a whiskey that have depth, right? Because it's good to have all those notes that you have, but adding water kind of show the depth of the whiskey. And I believe this is a solid one. This is definitely a solid one. Then it makes me go, how many times did you get an offer and you tried it and you went, I like it, but I think it should be a little older, or I like it, but I think we should put it in a different cask.
that happens. So in terms of the bottles from other people, we do have to tell the independent bottle because they're third parties that it's Martin's brand and Vic and Kenny's brand for the dram. Sometimes we have to say we don't like it. I'm sure it's a great dram, but maybe not for the US. We do have to try to say this might not work here. I can tell you in terms of the casks that I've purchased, and we haven't done any bottlings of our own yet. When you buy casks on the open market, a lot of times you don't get a sample. And so I would say it's about 50-50 when you buy mature casks, whether it's something you would want to actually bottle under your own name. And sometimes you get things and you can see why they've been sold on. Like we were offered, and I was super excited. We were offered Campbelltown cask. Yeah, you can imagine, and the price was right.
Yeah,
and we got samples, and 50% of the samples we had defects, honestly. And they told me they sold out of all of them, but they had some without samples, and it's like I'm not buying that lottery ticket if it's got that. So I guess to answer your question, the producers that we have. And
they both do.
They have
super
great
job,
stuff. Yeah. So it's few and far between where we would not want to bring some. We try to bring in the whole outturn if we can, which is what I think is a little different between our business model and what people have done in the US, where what we try to do, as we said, is to participate and bring in a larger volume of different things not in the US. What other people have tried to do is to have things bottled specifically for the US market, so that they'll bring in a lot of the same stuff. And we don't think that's interesting as enthusiasts.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Definitely not as enthusiasts. So we have ex-bourbon cask, 100% ex-bourbon cask. Let's get in the trenches. I want to see what else the Scotch only drinker will offer someone that is not a beginner, but more in the mid-level of things.
So I think we should move on to the Dràm Mòr. We have a Dràm Mòr bottling from the Speyside Distillery. We get a lot of questions about this. People are like, "No, what distillery?" I'm like, "The Speyside Distillery." So just to clarify, the Speyside Distillery is a tiny little artisan distillery, and it's beautiful. It's in Kingussie, I believe, right off. You have to travel off the road, and they've got a spring running right through the distillery, and it's next to the river. It's a tributary of the River Spey. But this dram here from Dràm Mòr, it's an 8-year-old, and it's in a PX sherry cask. So this one you're gonna get. It's a little bit sweeter than the last one because you've got that sherry influence, and you can see if you hold it up the color, the cask influence on the color as well. And again, this is a single. We should probably mention that all of these are single cask, single barrel.
Yeah, that's what I was to say. For all of you guys who don't know, single cask pretty much mean from one single cask. So if you try something from them and you like it, chances are there's only 400 and some of it, or 200 and some of it, depending on the outrun. So
this one has 274 from the Speyside Distillery, so it's pretty exclusive.
One of the reasons why I love independent bottler bottles is because you get to have something that is unique. It's 200 and some bottles. Not a lot of people can claim to have one of 200 ever in whiskey, unless you've been messing with independent bottlers for a long time and you understand, okay, you know, you have something that is set. I think I made a mistake because I poured the other Dràm Mòr, which
that one's really peated, so I think we should wait till the end.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I'm like, I think I totally went the other way because I started nosing it. I'm like, PX is not PX.
What are these clowns talking about? That's not
I have the Aran here as well, which I really much so enjoy. I love the nose on that Aran.
Yeah,
so
that one's killer.
It is just so good. I can't even. Let me see.
So Melissa and I actually visited the Speyside Distillery. I like to equate it to like the Ohio State for college football fans in the U.S. That's the name, the Speyside Distillery, and it's just such a cool. It was such a cool place to visit, in that the facility was so small they had to cut the still down to fit in the building. They showed us a water source that went right by, so we like put our water bottles in, and we got fresh water from Speyside that they used. They pitched live yeast in the fermentation, so we got to like they gave us little samples. And so when we saw that on Vic's Outturn, we jumped at the ability to bring that in because you don't usually see the Speyside distillery in the U.S. And we knew from our time in Scotland that they do such a great job sourcing those Pedro Jimenez casks that the flavor is just tremendous, that we had to bring this into the U.S. And the price is right on this. We've got it on our site at $79.99 for the which is just for a single cask at high proof, first fill, like really active sherry, just really flavorful. And it's such a versatile dram too. Like I like them. I personally drink it neat most of the time, but there's so much flavor in here, and we're in Florida and it gets hot in Florida. So like it works. It stands up if like in a Japanese style highball where you have some
highball,
ice and some club soda.
That's all I kept thinking about. That would be an amazing highball.
Yeah, it works perfectly. I don't think there's a better dram to go in there than something like this into a highball.
For all of you guys wondering, this is the website he's referring to, and this is what we are tasting right now.
Yeah,
that's the Speyside, and if you want to see it a little bigger, this is what we are tasting right now. It is the Dràm Mòr is a Speyside first feel, and the one thing I would say is, in my head, when I taste it, is not the first thing I'm thinking about is not like having a neat, is I want to have a cocktail with it, because that sherry naturally for me give me almost a little bit of that little bitterness in the back. So I love using those heavy sherry cask or first fill sherry to actually make a nice highball, a little bit of lime, a little bit of, just sweeteners, have, a shot of that in, fill it up with my sparkling water, and I'm ready to sit outside and have a good time. So it's definitely one of those things that if there is a pour that you need to enjoy and definitely put in a cocktail, I love that you can taste the sherry. It is apparent. And just for 8 years, I don't know what they're doing there and what does the temperature looks like there, but that is apparent. That is definitely, you can taste that.
Yeah, Vic and Kenny at Dràm Mòr do some amazing cast finishes.
Yeah, we like the cast, and you can see between the two brands that they have completely different styles.
Definitely, slowly miles apart. So I mean, $79.99 for cast strength, first fill sherry. That's a steal. That's a steal. I'm assuming here you guys are not trying to get into a get rich quick scheme.
I told Melissa this is not the lottery that we're trying to win. We're just trying to bring good whiskey in and share it.
Build up a brand and an audience.
I can appreciate that, because for 8-year first fill sherry cask and straight from a smaller distillery, I know a few places where is punching above 100. So for you guys to actually say $79.99, you can have it and share, and just share this beauty with us. You get my vote of confidence.
I'll tell you what's interesting too with this that we get, that I want to. Do you get ginger?
That's what I'm saying. For me is ginger root. Yeah. That's that bitterness I was talking about. Is when you chew on ginger root. I'm from Africa. I chew on ginger root. You get a little like that spice and bitterness at the end of your ginger root. That's what I get. That's why I didn't mention even the spice side, because like it would be weird to actually talk about it on a sherry cask, right?
Yeah. And the sherry is intense. It's definite pH. There's a lot of raisin, and it's viscous too. If you compare this versus the Valve, I think it's a little syrupy compared to the two.
So definitely something that I tell guys, I tell you what, I know everybody have kind of their low proof things they're drinking, but I promise you that it's like just pushing that door right next to your fears when you start diving in it. I promise you, it's been 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, I don't think I bought scotch off the shelf anymore. I haven't. And I've been drinking single malt for over 20 years. So I don't the day I discovered single cask and independent bottlers, I was like, my life has changed. So I implore you guys that actually are drinking your regular things, and I will tell you what, there's a lot of independent bottlers that are a little cocky with what they bring in, and they push you to actually try to get something that is really punching, not punching at the weight, but charging you a lot. These are simple American folks, a simple American family that just happen to enjoy scotch. So they're not trying to jip you out of any money. They just want you to try it. And as you watch this show, we got to I have a special to bring to y'all. And I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it. But let's keep tasting. Let's keep tasting. I'm loving price and what you're picking so far. You getting, you have a fan in me already. So let's keep tasting. What will be
Sure.
our next taste? Because other thing you guys don't need to know, Scotland may not be as big, but the spectrum of single malt in Scotland is huge,
Yeah.
huge. So
And it just keeps growing. Every time we go over, there's
right,
more distilleries and bottlers.
And not just clones, they all have different character. So,
yeah,
like, as new places open up, we're just super excited to see all the different things that they're doing, whether it's the type of stills, whether it's different types of yeast that they're experimenting with, or the mash. It's just a great time to be a drinker, I think, with all the variety.
absolutely,
So I
absolutely.
think you're ready to try that Aaron. I know you're excited for that one.
Ooh, so for all of you guys who don't understand why this is exciting, because this was a last addition to our lineup, is is just like I mentioned before. About 2 weeks ago, I actually had the Aaron Distillery on the channel, talking to their brand ambassador and hearing all the things that Aaron is putting as one of those uh, quote unquote effort into the whiskey industry and what makes them different on the market. Now, the highest thing I've tasted through that whole lineup that I've done was 10 years. The oldest thing I've tasted was 10
Okay.
years.
Well,
So
this is a treat then.
This is seldom seen.
Yeah, this
yeah.
is,
So
we were super.
remember what I talked about the Walmart t-shirt and then changing it, because immediately I got a message. I don't know if it was Howard or Melissa, but send me a message, go, oh, I think we need to send you something. And I'm like, what is something? And they say, we are going to send you an 18-year-old Aaron Sherry Hogshead. And I'm like, I told him, I said, shut the front door. I don't know who you are. And it just to kind of put that in perspective is like thinking about, think of yourself at 10 years old and think of yourself at 18-year-old. So in my head, I'm like, only an independent bottler can actually tell me I got an 18-year of a spirit for you. You should try it. So tell me about this expression. All I can tell y'all about this expression is it's 54.6. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you never taste Iron Distillery, a cast strength, you have not lived yet. You literally have not lived yet. So that's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
So yeah, so as you said, this is a single cast strength, 54.6 Aaron, 18-year-old. It's from Creetown. Um, so when we nose it, we get a lot of tropical fruits. So we get
Let
mango.
me show them on the website so they know.
Yeah, it's hard to see probably when we're holding it up, but
Yeah, I'm gonna show this Aaron because yeah, this is one of those that I have to look at people and say, yeah, you um run, don't jump, don't skip, just run. So 18-year-old Aaron is not always available. And for you guys, if you don't understand, it's it is special. It is special. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I haven't had it yet, but just the ability to have something like this is special. You know, was it ex bourbon cast first and then sherry hogshead? Is that what happened?
I don't know its history, but I do think uh, the way it's labeled, it isn't labeled as if it is a finish. It's labeled as if it's
Was
led
in
its whole
that sherry
life
cask
in the whole
yeah.
maturation
Usually
cycle.
you put
The reason why is because of color. I'm like, the
Yeah.
color does not even look like 18.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, was it ex bourbon cask and then sherry? I'm getting a lot of those fruity caramel, like fruity nose that necessarily doesn't come always with 100% sherry cask. So
It's also possible, it's not labeled that it's a refill, but it's possible that it's a second or third refill in the sherry hogshead. Like I personally prefer the older whiskeys to be in the second or third fill,
correct.
because if it's a first fill, it can, and it's like up beyond 18 years, you taste
It,
cask, not
it
spirit.
becomes funky and
Yeah.
almost to the point where it's not as palatable as you would want it to be.
So when we have the opportunity to taste those first, second, and third, and up to fourth refills and olders like 18, 21, and so on, I typically lean towards those second and third fills because it's gentler, but
Correct.
it all the edges get kind of rounded as age helps to shape the whiskey.
All right, let's not talk about it. Let's try it. Let's see what's happening.
I don't want to lead you, but
Yeah, you're making me nervous.
Yeah,
You're not saying anything.
No,
I can tell you what we get if you want. If you want us to go
no,
first.
no. I don't think you need taste note. All I'm gonna urge people is you should buy a bottle, especially for this fall coming up. You need a bottle because on those cold weather nights, you don't want any of that heavy cast, that heavy sherry, or you don't want to drink that cast strength bourbon, and you just want something that is still light but has some body to it, mouthfeel. Hell, you just want to light up a pipe or a cigar and just kick your feet up. Pour this on. I'm pretty sure if you pour this on some ice, some miracles are gonna happen. Let me see.
Yeah,
Yep,
we notice
you guys have
over.
me perplexed, which have not happened yet. Everything you thrown at me so far, I was like, okay, but this definitely is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the little kid. It's not for I just started. This is for somebody who have a discernment of flavor.
Yeah,
Because if you are new into single malt, you're gonna taste this and go, I don't know about this. But if you sit with it, like you asked me to pour it and let it have some air, I have a feeling you guys are gonna get feedback like, "Oh, I've tried it the first time, I didn't like it." The answer should be put it on the shelf, come back to it in a few weeks. You're gonna be just fine.
yeah.
I want, I
Yeah,
want, I want a peppery and wrapped peppery and heavy Maduro with this. I just want to light it up and pour this on some ice and put some music in the back and forget that life exists. I just want to have a moment
Uh-oh.
with this whiskey.
we lost your audio.
I did.
Let me check here. Uh,
Did I lose the audio? If you guys can hear us, let us know if you can hear us.
We're back.
You're back. Can you hear us? We can hear you.
I've been hearing you the whole time.
Sure.
Well, I think we're good. But this, I guess the computer didn't like how I went into a romantic poem about this whiskey. But definitely, this is one of those that it is grown, it is mature, it has all the curves and all the essence. It is not it is not explosive, it is not extravagant, but it holds its own. It's like a quiet force to be reckoned with. That's the way I will have described this whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough after the sherry bomb that you had of that space side to go to the Aaron. Aaron really rewards you spending some time with it in the glass.
Yeah.
We get all those tropical notes on the nose that Melissa said, but then on the palate, we get like cherry and hard watermelon candy, and the the saltiness too on the finish, and it
Yeah.
lingers too. It's not like it's necessarily going to slap you across the face, but it's just a long crescendo essentially for the finish that
Yeah.
probably over a minute on the palate that it resonates there.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, this one got me thinking. Definitely. Um, French people say I'm stupefait. I'm smitten. That was an if I was a Harry Potter fan, I would say this is definitely in my palate just went stupefied. It was done. I'm locked in stock in that because the aftertaste of this just it lingers around. And it's not, like I say, it's not extravagant at all in any way, shape, or form, but you almost have to sit with this whiskey. This is I had a long day. I have to think about life whiskey. I need a moment. I need a moment whiskey. So if you don't have I need a moment whiskey in your collection, I'm sharing the screen again. I want to show it to you because right now it is on pre-sale, so it's not available to buy yet. So if you need it, I would definitely say make sure you get on the pre-sale so you can actually have this available to you whenever it is here. So
Oh, it's for the viewers in your audience in New York. I think the Brandy Library, which is a fantastic bar in New York,
Has this
just
on their shelf
yeah, they
now.
just took
So if
delivery
you
of a
want to
couple of them.
try it and
Yes.
you're in New York City, hop on in. They have this and they
NYC,
have from our
NYC. If you're watching us from New York, you know where to find it. I want to hear definitely what you think of it, and I would love to see because for me, definitely this is you know, I got few kids and three baby ex-wives. I need a drink. I will pour you this. You need this because you can sit with this for a while and really think of it. It's not a whiskey you sip quick. Is a really it's holding its own. So I appreciate y'all sharing this with me. I'm
Yeah, as
excited.
soon as we saw
So
the
we were
air,
talking
yeah,
to Marilee. We were like, oh, we got to send him this one.
Ariel is amazing, but this definitely hell, I might have to actually talk to her and see if she's a US to share this with her because I don't think she tasted something like this before, uh, as far as age wise. But yeah,
starting to
absolutely.
yes, with stuff like
So
that into the piece.
correct, correct. That's the play. That obviously that's the magic of you guys being independent bottlers, right? And working as an exporter, you can bring things that people never seen. Speaking of things never seen, let's go to my favorite part of Scotch, which
Sure,
is peat. Peat is
sure.
where I like to call me the peat master, call me the peat
Yeah,
man.
the peated high proof. So we had to throw a few of those in your pack too.
When if it's the PDS, the better, the funkiest, the better. There is a reason why distilleries like Boona have and always have my love because when they release their single cask that are either from the culture that is peated. I'm excited, and I always make sure I have a bottle. So I poured me the Dunmore um, from Glenturret Distillery, first fill, 56.4% ABV. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Want to take it?
Yeah, so the Dràm Mòr is the peated spirit from Glenturret, which is a just a super premium distillery. You don't typically see independent bottles of it of Glenturret. You may have seen their core range bottles, which are beautiful because they were recently purchased by the Elite Group, so they have like
Beautiful
crazy
crystal
descanners,
and
and so
decanters.
they're putting all kinds of money into the distillery since they've purchased it. And one of the things that was exciting for us when we visited it was they have a Michelin star restaurant on site of the distillery. But what I think is like super cool about this particular bottling, at the Michelin star restaurant at the Glenturret, they have this on the menu.
Oh,
Not just their core range, but they have that. So we were able to taste
The
a
core
number,
range,
yeah, and
this.
and I can tell you this is phenomenal. This we
not
went
not
through the
not not to brag, but it's phenomenal.
they wouldn't have it on the menu if it wasn't if it didn't provide some phenomenal experience above and
Absolutely.
beyond what you would have from core range. It just wouldn't make sense.
You know what?
And
I've had it pour for a while. So is it first fill? Bourbon Head, that's it. The 12
Yeah.
year.
still bourbon
12,
hogshead.
12-year-old.
It's at
Oh,
54 ABV, so it's pretty strong.
And this, the peat
I
on the,
am, the peat on this is like, it's like fresh, just pork butt just hitting the barbecue.
We have barbecue on our tasting notes
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah. No, there's no. This is pork butt Hawaiian barbecue right here. It's a no. This is disgustingly smell good. Like it's. I don't like y'all right now. I don't. I really don't like y'all right now. Is a Pete lover's dream smell right here. And I will tell you right now, I've never had a peated Glenturret. So
yeah, they're not around too much.
Yeah.
And as Howard said, not too many indie bottled Glenturrets. So we were excited when we saw this one and tried it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ooh. I gotta wipe my face on this. This is ooh.
See, for me, if I'm having a cigar, I do like a peated whiskey with the cigar.
But for me right now, all I want some I want some fried rice, some pork fried rice with some chili sauce next to it, and like give me hell, I literally want mm, oh, this just can be paired with food. I understand what they did there. It's oh mm,
You get graham cracker? I get
oh
graham cracker
it
with
is so if you walk past the Pete, you get that nice I like to say healthy toast of for me it's a s'mores, that graham cracker, that nice toasty, something burnt, almost sweet but burnt like a s'mores, and held with a little chocolatey darkness on the back. Like I said, this is something that I will pair with food. I will even dare to pair with dessert. Like give me a nice s'mores with literally give me a graham cracker with a fat burnt almost to the crisp small with a Hershey kiss on it, and let me bite it and have a bite of this.
If I was going to pair, I would pair it with a New York strip steak. That's how I would do it.
Mm. Mm.
Fried in butter. Some
Mm.
peppercorn.
So, have you ever heard of musubi?
No, I'm not
So,
familiar.
musubi is rice,
Okay.
spam,
Okay.
seaweed with some soy sauce on top of it,
Okay.
and is Japanese, but you see it a lot in Hawaii. And literally, it's like
Yeah,
a scoop you can grab. And the
Spam with the rice. I thought Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, so the spam saltiness, the seaweed earthiness, and that soy sauce with the rice, like that's what I want served to me right now with this peated whiskey, right? That's Wasabi is definitely something that once you have it and you try it, you're like, okay, I know what because the only thing that is missing out of this combination is the saltiness. I want that salt now to actually make it work. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna admit it. You guys have some amazing palate. Yeah, don't
So
want.
our bottlers do an amazing job. Our
yeah.
partners over in Scotland, they
Yeah, you
they
you
pick the.
you guys are doing great with your partner. Your palate, in my opinion, is definitely in line with what you're doing. I'm now you getting these product coming. You're independent bottlers. So you can't really claim to be independent bottlers if you don't hear about what is it that you guys have cooking. There's, your exporter, you're working with your exporter, but what do we expect from Scotch drinkers only when it comes to product that you have aging or little magic happening in the back? What should the people expect?
We've got some super interesting things actually that are cooking. One of the things that I like to play with are comparisons in
Okay.
terms of what is the difference going to be between different casks of the same spirit or different spirits in the same cask type, so that we can do these horizontals
Mhm.
and look at the effects of casks. So we're working on a deal now for octaves, and so we'll have our first octave coming in actually in the
Ooh.
fall. So an octave is a smaller size cask that's about 50 to 60 bottles. And so we're working to get both different types of spirits in very similar octaves so we can bring in those exclusively and people can try and see the difference between distillery A and distillery B aged in the same type of wood. But we're also looking at different octave types. So there's a couple whiskey producers in the U.S. And so as Melissa said, we've been to Kentucky a few times and Tennessee as well. And so we don't want to just say to people that this is an ex bourbon cask. We want to tell them which distillery bourbon it is, what mash bill it had. And so like, was this from a double oaked product or was this something that was high rye? And so that's what in the future you can expect to see from us in terms of what we've got cooking, because it would be silly for us to bring in the same stuff that our producers are bringing in. What we bring in under our own label will be additive in that sense
Correct.
and be, what we don't see, but what we really want to see enough that we're willing to fund the production of it.
Absolutely. So for all of you guys here, I've been showing you the website, but here you have it. is scotchdrinkingonly.com. You can find everything you need there. And guess what? Howard ain't got nothing to do. Ask him questions. Reach out to the website. Say, hey, I want to know more before I make a decision. But these prices that I'm seeing on this website, I will be very honest with you, are stupidly affordable for what it is that they're bringing on the market. But I have one better for you. They were generous enough. And they say, your people want something, we got you. So what they offered is called Hoodsomm. It's HOODSOMM, and you will take $10 off any order over 200. So pretty much your shipping, part of your shipping will be covered, but they at least take that much off of your order. Trust me, they're not. They're already pinching pennies just to make sure that the price is fair. So giving you an additional $10 is really something they're doing to make sure that people that saw this or have watched this, or if you're watching the recast, you actually have something that when you go to buy, you're like, you ain't gonna give me the friend and family discount. There you go, friend and family discount. You get to actually try. I will be honest and just tell you guys right now, if you follow me and you trust, if you trust my expertise as somebody who understand a little bit, uh I would say, the field of whiskey, I would tell you right now, if your introduction to what Howard and Melissa are doing here should be as simple as this. If I go on this website today, first thing I'm picking up is this one. I'm buying this one immediately. That's the first thing I'm picking up. That's that Dràm Mòr. I need to have it because it's going to be versatile, either in a cocktail or even neat if I want to. After that one, I'm going to come down here and say, okay, what else you got? Going down and choosing. And they didn't send me this, but I saw it and I was like, ooh, I need it. Is this Linkwood? There's
Oh,
something about Linkwood that is so cool that if you have a good Linkwood at Castrant, especially at this price right here, you're in. If you like Pete, this is gonna keep you entertained for a while. This right here is gonna keep you entertained for a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, my final judgment of Scotch drinkers only is they know what they're doing. If you are wondering, they know what they're doing. You should check them out. You should give them a call. It's Scott Drinkers Only on Instagram. Um, are you guys on Facebook as well? I'm assuming. I always see you on Instagram, so I didn't
Yeah,
know you.
we definitely are on Facebook. When I was in
we're
tax, they
active
were
on
they were one of my
Instagram.
biggest clients. Meta, I guess,
Meta,
formerly.
Meta,
I definitely,
aka Facebook. But if you're on Facebook, it is Scotch Drinker Only, also on Facebook.
yeah.
Um, and especially for you guys on Facebook right now, they can use all the support they can get. We need to blow up this Facebook page and make sure we actually get them
Thank you.
where they need to.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I,
So
I
message
want to see
us.
this Facebook. Just follow this Facebook page. You guys go and give them a follow. Show them some love. Let's up this Facebook page. And if you have a bottle that you bought from them, make sure you go and leave a review on their Facebook page so people understand that this is a legitimate operation and they're doing the best they can. They're just like you and I. A boy meets a girl that seemed to like whiskey, and now they actually they actually have a whiskey. They are now importers and independent bottlers. There's nothing more American than that. uh for you, Howard and Melissa, if there's one thing that you didn't think we talked about in this interview and you wanted the people to know, what would it be? The floor is yours. I'm even going to leave you the whole floor. The whole floor is going to be yours. This is your time.
Yeah. So I'll say first, and then I'll give Melissa the final words. But if you've never tried a single barrel with some of these finishes, it's just incredible amount of flavor versus what you might get out of a core range. And so we've tried to keep the prices as low as possible and accessible to people. So I'd encourage you to try any of the bottles that we have. I think they're all highly flavorful and very different than what you would see normally out of a core range. If you're a bourbon drinker, I would encourage you to try Scotch. There's more to whiskey than bourbon. We love bourbon too, but Scotch is special, and so that's why we wanted to bring these drams in to share with the U.S. market.
Yeah. Same as Howard said, if and we manage everything ourselves. So if you have any questions or you're not sure which one and you want to get some opinions on what you normally drink and what we think you should try based on what you like, or you've never, as Howard said, tried an independent bottler and you're not sure about the finishes or the proof, like feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, through the website, however you want. And usually it's one of us responding. There's only two of us, so we try to get back to you as soon as possible. But we really appreciate Jack having us on here, and we greatly value his opinion. We know he's very, very respected in the industry. He's a judge on some very prestigious competitions, and a lot of people in the industry respect his opinion and his palate. So we are super excited to be on here and share some drams with him, and we appreciate him giving us the support as a small business starting out here. So thanks.
Thank you, Jack.
Second here. You couldn't hear me, right? Great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was muted the whole time, but I said thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate y'all being here. I'm walking into the industry. Remind everybody that I've met a great set of palate, a small business that is really trying to thrive. I want everybody to go and support y'all. And one thing I'm gonna do probably later on is I will be actually reviewing independently your bottles so people can actually see what it is about so they don't there's no influence here. For you, Melissa, for you, Howard, thank you so much. May God bless you, and I hope to see your business flourish as much as you intended to see it. Thank you so much for being here, and Slanchama.
Thank you.
Cheers.